Here's bringing you the latest updates on inflation for the month of February 2025. And guess what? The news is looking a little brighter this month. Let's break it down. First up, overall inflation or the consumer price index. It has dropped to just 3.61%. That's the lowest we've seen since July 2024 and it's down from 4.26% in January. It's a welcome relief for many. But hold on, here's the biggest headline. Food inflation. For February 2025, food inflation has dropped to just 3.75%. That's a sharp fall of 2.22% from January. It's the lowest food inflation we've seen since May 2023, and that's great news for your grocery bills. It means vegetables are cheaper, so are eggs, meat and fish, as well as pulses and milk. Now let's zoom in on the rural and the urban areas. In rural regions, the overall inflation came in at 3.79%. That's down from 4.59% last month. And when we look at food prices in the countryside, the drop is even bigger. Food inflation fell from 6.31% to 4.06%. That's huge. Meanwhile, in the cities, urban inflation eased to 3.32%, down from 3.81% in January. And food inflation, well, that dropped to 3.2%, a big improvement from 5.53%. So whether you are in the city or in the countryside, in the villages, things are looking up. Let's talk about other important sectors. Housing inflation rose a tiny bit to 2.91%. Fuel and light are still in the red, but in a good way. Fuel inflation is sitting at minus 1.33%. Education costs stayed steady at 3.83%, and health inflation ticked up slightly to 4.12%. Still, overall, we are seeing some relief in key areas. But what about the items with the biggest price changes? Well, here are the top 5 that saw the most inflation. Coconut oil skyrocketed by 54%, coconut itself jumped over 41%, and gold and silver were up by 35% and 30.89% respectively. And onions make the top 5 with 30.42% hike. Looks like onions are the new luxury item. On the flip side, we had some items that actually got cheaper. Ginger saw a massive drop of nearly 36%, jeera dropped by almost 29%, and tomatoes fell by 28.5%. Even cauliflower and garlic has got cheaper. So if you're a fan of these, now it's time to stock up. So what's the bottom line? Well, some items are still rising in price. Many everyday goods are seeing a welcome drop, especially for food prices, with rural areas seeing the biggest drop. February 2025 is looking like a month of good news for most households, with food inflation leading the charge. Kerala, however, is the state with the highest year-on-year inflation at 7.3%. Prices were gathered from over 1,000 urban markets and 1,100 villages across India by the National Statistical Office, with nearly all areas participating.